too weak? Don't watch this. 10 Brutal Truths About Women. That's not just a warning, it's a reality check. Because if you still believe that modern dating is about fairy tale love, or that female nature works like in romantic comedies, you're in for a rude awakening. Most men walk blindly into emotional traps, not because they're bad, but because no one ever handed them the manual. But today, you get it. And not just any guide. This is a straight shot of truth bombs, backed by Stoicism, built to strengthen your masculine frame, expose the validation trap, and protect your self-worth before it gets trampled. So stay until the end, because if you miss even one of these brutal truths, you'll keep playing by rules that were never made for you, and paying a price you never agreed to. Let's kick things off with the biggest blind spot most men never even question, the one that quietly breaks them from the inside. If this kind of content makes you think twice, then share it. Someone out there needs this wake-up call, just as much as you did, maybe more. Let's get to it. 1. The first truth no one warns you about. Here's a bitter truth. Most men don't get manipulated by women. Because they're weak, they get played because they don't even know the game is being played. That's the danger. When a man can't see the power dynamics at work, he becomes a pawn in someone else's story. This isn't about blaming women. It's about understanding the system. And the first system you need to decode? The validation trap. That quiet addiction to her attention, her approval, her smile. It's lethal, and most don't even see it coming. She posts a selfie, and you like it instantly. She texts, "Hey," and you feel like you just won the lottery. That's not love. That's you getting dopamine hits from someone else's breadcrumbs. You're not connecting with her. You're chasing a high, and she's the dealer. Masculinity starts where that addiction ends. If your mood depends on her response, she owns your emotional control. And guess what? That power imbalance silently drains your self-worth like a leaking faucet you never bothered to fix. Want to regain your power? Try this. The next time she posts something to get attention, don't react. Don't like. Don't comment. Don't even watch twice. Reclaim your inner strength by staying still. Watch what happens when you become unpredictable. It's not about playing games. It's about breaking the modern dating patterns that keep you trapped. When you stop feeding the system loses power over you. Let me be clear. This isn't about ignoring women or becoming bitter. It's about developing self-mastery so your sense of identity doesn't fluctuate based on someone else's mood swings. You don't build mental toughness in comfort. You build it by training your reactions, like a soldier sharpens his reflexes. Every time you pause before responding, you're not just avoiding drama. You're building a version of yourself that commands respect without even asking for it. And here's the twist most guys never see coming. When you stop seeking validation, you become more attractive. Why? Because real masculine frame isn't loud. It's solid. It's felt. She can sense when your purpose is bigger than her opinion. And once you anchor into that, you're no longer the boy chasing approval. You're the man she doesn't know how to read. That's where the game flips. And that's just the beginning. Moving forward. 2. The brutal lens of female nature. The second truth hits harder. Women aren't saints or villains. They're human, guided by female nature that men constantly underestimate. And if you misread that, you set yourself up for rejection before the story even begins. Look around. How many men crumble because they confuse attention with affection? That's the dangerous illusion. Women respond to hypergamy, an instinct older than civilization itself. It's not evil, it's biology. But if you ignore it, you'll keep asking the wrong questions and hating the answers you get. Imagine this. You buy flowers, text good morning every day, shower her with compliments. Yet she's drawn to the guy who barely notices her. Why? Because she doesn't crave the easy path. She's wired to test, to seek the strongest presence in the room. That's where boundaries matter. When you overinvest too soon, you're not showing love, you're signaling weakness. And nothing destroys masculinity faster than energy spent without value received in return. Here's a practical move you can try right now. Stop over-explaining yourself. If she questions your choices, don't give a 20-minute TED Talk. Respond with calm assertiveness. Say less, but mean more. A man grounded in purpose doesn't beg to be understood. He embodies clarity through action. Next time she throws a subtle test your way, hold your ground. Watch how her eyes search for your reaction. That moment is where emotional intelligence replaces insecurity. Some men hear this and get bitter, but wise men hear this and get free. The point isn't to fight female nature, it's to accept it and master yourself in the process. Stoicism teaches that reality doesn't bend to our feelings. It simply is. When you embrace that, you stop resenting women for being who they are and start respecting yourself for standing firm. Freedom begins where delusion ends, and this is your chance to choose clarity over comfort. Now here's the hook. Once you learn to see reality through this lens, every interaction shifts. Conversations feel lighter, tension feels manageable, and the same woman who once had you tangled in doubt now wonders why she can't shake your presence. This isn't arrogance, it's alignment. The man who understands nature stops fighting storms and learns how to sail. And trust me, the storm only gets wilder from here. Let's raise the stakes. 3. The hidden cost of ignoring red flags. The third brutal truth: men don't usually fall because of one big mistake. They fall because they ignore the small red flags. That subtle dig she makes in front of her friends, the sudden shifts in tone when you set a boundary, the jokes that cut a little too deep. Most men laugh it off, hoping things will smooth out. But ignoring signals doesn't make them disappear. It makes them grow sharper, until they slice through your self-worth without mercy. Picture this. She constantly tests your patience with sarcasm, and instead of holding your ground, you keep quiet. You think you're avoiding drama, but you're training her to disrespect you. That's how manipulation creeps in. Not always intentional, but lethal either way. If you don't respond with assertiveness, you silently agree to the rules she's setting. And if she sets all the rules, where's your masculine frame? Without it, you're not leading your life, you're following hers. Here's something practical to apply today. The next time you spot a red flag, don't argue, don't explode. State your stance once, firmly, and step back. Let your silence carry weight. For example, that doesn't work for me. Short, direct, unshuckable. This is discipline in action, saying less, but anchoring more. You're not policing her behavior. You're protecting your inner strength. The difference? One feels like control, the other feels like respect. And respect is the foundation of every real connection. Now I get it. Some men fear that if they call out bad behavior, they'll lose her. Here's the truth. If holding your ground costs you the relationship, you never had one to begin with. That fear is just another validation trap dressed up as love. A man who builds mental toughness knows that rejection isn't the end of the story. It's the filter that clears away what doesn't belong in his life. Every no brings you closer to the yes that actually respects your male identity. And here's where it gets interesting. Once you start noticing red flags, you'll also start noticing something else, the patterns that kept you trapped. That's the point of true awakening. It's not about blaming women. It's about upgrading yourself. The moment you decide to stop negotiating with disrespect, you step into a new league of life. And if this truth feels heavy now, wait until you see what comes next. And here's a quick pause. If this kind of content is already opening your eyes to things you never noticed before, hit that like button and subscribe right now, because this is only the surface. What's coming next will shake the ground you walk on, and you don't want to miss it. Let's keep going. Time to dig deeper. 4. When emotional control becomes your superpower. Here's the next brutal truth. Most men lose not because women outsmart them, but because they lose emotional control in critical moments. Anger, jealousy, desperation. These emotions hijack clarity faster than anything else. The moment you blow up her phone after she doesn't reply, or the second you let your temper explode over something small, you've handed away your power. Women don't destroy men. Men destroy themselves when they can't manage their own fire. Think about a time when you argued late at night, fueled by emotion. Did yelling ever solve the problem? Or did it push her further away? Losing control doesn't just damage relationships. It cripples your masculine frame. A man who can't regulate his emotions is like a soldier who drops his weapon mid-battle. That's why Stoicism insists on training the mind daily, the same way athletes train their bodies. If you don't sharpen your emotional reflexes, someone else will always push your buttons. Practical move. Build rituals that anchor you in storms. When you feel that surge of rage or panic, pause. Step outside. Breathe slowly. Count backward from 50. It sounds simple, but it rewires your nervous system. Combine that with daily practices like journaling, meditation, or reading works like Marcus Aurelius' Meditations. These habits train your discipline. They help you see emotions not as commands, but as signals. And when you can respond instead of react, you rise above chaos. Here's the kicker. Women are wired to test this, not because they hate you, but because they need to feel your stability. If you wobble every time she challenges you, she'll sense it instantly. But if you stay grounded, she feels safe, even if she never admits it. That's the paradox. The less reactive you are, the stronger your presence becomes. Emotional steadiness is magnetic because it proves your inner strength is real, not borrowed from fleeting moods. And here's the loop you didn't expect. When you master your emotions, you don't just gain control over women, you gain control over life itself. Business, friendships, health, all of it bends differently to a man who isn't enslaved by impulse. And yet, this is just the beginning of a bigger transformation. Because emotional power doesn't just protect you, it redefines who you are becoming. Let's peel another layer. 5. The silent killer of male identity. Here's a brutal one. Nothing erodes a man's spirit faster than losing his male identity. And it doesn't happen overnight. It's a slow leak. Every time you say yes when you mean no, every time you sacrifice your purpose just to keep her happy, every time you bend your boundaries out of fear, you chip away at who you are. Before you know it, you're living as a watered-down version of yourself, wondering why she doesn't respect you anymore. Picture a man who once loved going to the gym, reading, building his craft. The moment he gets into a relationship, he ditches it all to orbit around her world. At first, she loves the attention. But soon, she feels the shift. The masculinity that once drew her in is gone. That's the irony. The more you abandon yourself for her, the less she wants to stay. She didn't fall for a shadow. She fell for the man who stood firm in his lane. Practical move. Reclaim one piece of yourself today. If you stop training, go back. If you stopped reading, pick up a book that fuels you. Try Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power, or Ryan Holiday's The Obstacle is the Way. Not because women want you to, but because your self-worth depends on it. These acts rebuild your inner strength and remind you of something crucial. You are not just a partner. You are a man with a mission. Here's the raw truth. If she becomes the center of your existence, she will eventually resent the weight. No woman wants to be a man's entire purpose. She wants to be a part of his world, not the world itself. When you lose yourself, you lose the polarity that creates attraction. Maintaining your masculine frame isn't selfish. It's survival. It's what allows her to feel the gravity of your presence without carrying the burden of your identity. And here's where the discomfort flips into power. When you rebuild your male identity, you don't just revive respect, you reignite desire. The energy shifts, the conversations change, the attraction grows. But this is just one crack in the wall. Because the next truth exposes the invisible battlefield, most men walk into unarmed, and once you see it, you can never unsee it. Step into the battlefield. 6. The invisible game of power dynamics. Here's the brutal reality. Every interaction with a woman is shaped by power dynamics, whether you see it or not. Most men walk into this game blind, treating it like pure romance, while underneath, it's a constant test of strength and presence. She doesn't consciously plot against you, but her instincts are always reading. Are you firm? Do you lead? Can you handle pressure? Ignore this, and you'll wonder why attraction slips through your fingers like water. Picture a simple dinner date. She challenges your choice of restaurant, laughs at your story mid-sentence, or takes too long replying to a message. To most men, these feel like minor annoyances. To the wise, they're signals, moments where she checks your masculine frame. Do you flinch and over-explain? Or do you smile calmly, stay grounded, and carry on? That's the difference between a man lost in insecurity and a man rooted in self-mastery. Practical move. Stop explaining every decision as if you need permission. If you say, I thought this place would be nice, don't follow up with nervous justifications. Own it. Let your choice stand tall. Combine that with body language. Sit upright, maintain steady eye contact, and control your breathing. These micro-actions are silent declarations of inner strength. A man who radiates calm confidence shifts the entire atmosphere without saying a word. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Women aren't drawn to perfection. They're drawn to certainty. You can make mistakes, you can stumble, but if you hold your boundaries and stay anchored in discipline, you're magnetic. On the flip side, if you collapse under pressure, you signal weakness louder than any words could. And when weakness becomes a pattern, respect dissolves. And once respect is gone, attraction follows right behind it. And here's the spark that keeps you hooked. Once you see life through this lens, it's impossible to go back. Suddenly, every interaction feels like training. Every date becomes practice. Every test sharpens your presence. The battlefield is always there, but so is your chance to win it. And the next truth? It reveals the one weapon most men never pick up, but without it, they'll always fight with half their strength. Unlocking the hidden weapon. 7. The unshakable power of assertiveness. Here's a brutal truth most men dodge. Without assertiveness, you're invisible. You can be kind, funny, even successful, but if you can't state what you want with clarity and confidence, you'll always be overlooked. Women sense hesitation like sharks smell blood, and hesitation kills attraction faster than any mistake. Assertiveness isn't aggression. It's not shouting or demanding. It's calmly saying, this is who I am, this is what I stand for, and standing tall when tested. Picture this. She asks where you want to go, and instead of giving a direct answer, you toss it back. I don't know, you decide. On the surface, it looks polite. Underneath, it screams indecision. That tiny moment chips away at your masculine frame. Contrast that with a man who says, let's try this spot. You'll like it. The energy is different. One man waits to be led. The other quietly leads. Which one do you think she feels more drawn to? Practical move. Start small. Next time you're asked for an opinion, don't dodge. State it clearly. If you're asked what you want to eat, answer directly. If you disagree with something, say it respectfully, without apology. This builds self-mastery brick by brick. Over time, it rewires your brain to stop fearing conflict. You'll notice something incredible. People respect you more when you speak less, but mean more. Your words carry weight because they reflect inner strength. Here's the beauty of it. Assertiveness doesn't just impact dating. It reshapes your entire life. At work, your ideas land stronger. With friends, your presence commands respect. Even with yourself, you stop negotiating away your standards. This is the bridge between weakness and power. And once you cross it, you'll wonder why you ever lived without it. Emotional intelligence flows through assertiveness because it balances strength with understanding. And here's the loop into the next revelation. Once you master assertiveness, you'll realize it's not about winning every battle with words. It's about mastering silence, timing, and presence. The weapon isn't just what you say. It's who you become when you no longer fear saying it. And the next truth will expose the mental battlefield where most men sabotage themselves before they even step onto the field. If what you've heard so far already feels like a punch of clarity, imagine what's waiting in the next minutes. Don't just scroll past. Hit that subscribe button right now, because the truths ahead will either break the old you or build the man you've been searching for all along. Stay locked in. Enter the mental arena. 8. The war inside your own head. Here's a brutal reality. The toughest battles aren't fought with women. They're fought inside your mind. Every man who collapses under pressure first loses to himself. That voice that whispers, "You're not enough," or "She's out of your league," isn't harmless. It's sabotage. And without mental toughness, you'll keep folding to fears that were never real in the first place. Women don't reject you half as much as you reject yourself before even trying. Think about it. How many opportunities have you killed in your head before they even started? You see a woman you're drawn to, but instead of speaking, you paralyze yourself with excuses. You tell yourself she laugh, she walk away, she see through you. But that's not her rejecting you. That's you surrendering before the first move. The battlefield of male identity isn't out there. It's in the mirror. And most men are losing that fight daily. Practical move. Catch the inner critic in the act. The next time your mind tells you don't try, flip it. Say out loud, watch me. Pair that with action. Send the message, start the conversation, take the shot. The power isn't in never hearing the doubt. The power is in acting anyway. That's discipline in raw form. Over time, you'll notice the voice of doubt shrinking, replaced by a deeper confidence anchored in inner strength. Here's what most men never learn. Confidence isn't built by thinking positive thoughts. It's built by stacking undeniable evidence that you're capable. Each small victory, the workout you didn't skip, a task you completed, a conversation you started, becomes a weapon. And these victories compound. Suddenly, your brain has no ammo left to fire against you. That's how you build self-worth brick by brick until your presence itself becomes a shield. And here's the loop. Once you begin winning the war inside your head, the outside world shifts instantly. You walk differently, speak differently, and she feels it before you even say a word. But this is only half the battle, because the next truth, it exposes how most men confuse desire with dependency, and how that confusion destroys everything they've built. Breaking the illusion. 9. Desire is not dependency. Here's the harsh truth. Too many men mistake raw desire for emotional chains. Wanting a woman is natural. Needing her to breathe? That's slavery. The difference defines whether you're living in masculinity or drowning in weakness. Dependency turns love into obsession, transforming attraction into a cage. And once you're trapped, she feels it instantly. Attraction dies the moment your energy shifts from confident desire to desperate need. Picture this. You start dating someone new. At first, you feel alive. The spark, the chemistry, the rush. But then, you can't go a day without hearing from her. A missed text spins your mood into chaos. That's not love, that's addiction. And addiction erodes your masculine frame faster than any rejection ever could. She doesn't want to be your oxygen. She wants to feel your fire without having to carry your ashes. Practical move. Test yourself. Go 48 hours without reaching out first. Fill that space with actions that strengthen your world. Hit the gym, call your brothers, build your craft. This isn't a game of pretending not to care. It's a discipline of proving to yourself that you don't need her to define your day. This practice rebuilds your inner strength and protects you from the validation trap that swallows countless men whole. Here's what flips the script. When you release dependency, desire becomes stronger, purer, more attractive. Why? Because women sense when you choose them, not when you cling to them. A man rooted in self-mastery communicates, I want you, but I don't need you. That balance is magnetic. It creates the polarity that keeps attraction alive. Dependency suffocates. Freedom breathes. And freedom is what keeps respect flowing naturally. And here's the opening into what comes next. Once you learn that desire without dependency is power, you're ready to face the ultimate test, the brutal reality of rejection. Because only when you face rejection head-on will you know how uncheckable you've really become. The final strike. 10. Rejection is the ultimate teacher. Here's the last brutal truth. No man becomes great without facing rejection. Most guys run from it, terrified that it defines their worth. But here's the paradox. Rejection isn't the end of your story. It's the forge. It burns away weakness and reveals the steel underneath. Avoid it, and you stay fragile. Embrace it, and you build mental toughness that no one can take from you. Think back to the moments you feared rejection the most. The girl you never approached. The opportunity you never took. Those weren't failures. They were invisible prisons. Every time you avoided rejection, you traded growth for comfort. And comfort is the silent killer of masculinity. The man who never risks rejection never discovers his inner strength. He stays a boy, waiting for life to hand him something it never will. Practical move. Flip your relationship with rejection. Instead of avoiding it, chase it. Make it a goal to collect no's. Start conversations, pitch ideas, try things you know might fail. Each no is a rep in the gym of resilience. The weight stings at first, but over time, it carves you into someone unshakable. This practice rewires your brain to see rejection not as a wound, but as a workout. That's discipline in its rawest form. Here's the liberating twist. Women respect men who can handle rejection with grace. Why? Because it shows you're not trapped in the validation trap. You're not begging. You're choosing. That level of self-worth radiates power. She knows she can't break you with silence or a cold shoulder. That's when she realizes you're not just another option. You're the man who stands when others fold. And this is where the circle closes. Rejection, when embraced, becomes freedom. It frees you from fear, from neediness, from hesitation. It's the final lesson in Stoicism applied to modern life. The pain doesn't destroy you, it refines you. And once you understand that, you stop fearing the game and start mastering it. Because in the end, it was never about women alone. It was about you, awakening to your true strength. So here's the question you need to face. Are you ready to apply this knowledge? Or will you keep living blind to these truths? Will you strengthen your masculine frame, sharpen your emotional intelligence, and finally step out of the validation trap? Or will you let comfort keep you weak while life passes you by? Drop your answer in the comments, and let's make it simple. Write this: I choose strength. That way, I'll know exactly who's ready to step up and take control of his life, instead of waiting for the world to hand it to him. Thank you for staying until the end. It means you're not like most men. It means you care about your self-mastery, your purpose, and your inner strength. For that, I respect you, truly. Now, if this video gave you value, hit the like button, share it with a brother who needs to hear this, and subscribe with notifications on, because this is only the beginning of a much bigger journey, and I'd hate for you to miss what's coming next.